The biggest negative one that I read was that the council tax was going to rise. And if this is true, is this 6.25%?
Yeah, so that's the draft. But look, at the end of the day, I'm in politics to make a difference. Yeah. And I'll take a few hits along the way.
There's loads of ill feeling and negativity towards Labour in Caerphilly. Is that deserved? Or why do you think that is, basically? He said this on an interview with me, Lindsay Whittle. He said that Foss Caerphilly, in his words, was a monumental disaster. What's your take?
Well, Lindsay...
Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to my channel, Fluck Fights. I must be going up in the world because I'm interviewing, got the privilege of interviewing Jamie Pritchard, who was the leader of the Caerphilly County Borough Council. But to be honest with you, Jamie, I thought it was a privilege, but when I said to people, I said, I'm going to be interviewing the leader of the Caerphilly Council. They hear the word council in Caerphilly and they sort of roll their eyes. There's a negative reaction. Why is that, do you think, the reaction? And would you say it's a deserved reaction, or do you think it's an overreaction, misinformation?
I don't think not misinformation. I think, let's be honest, no council is popular because the public see the council as the enemies. Too often, in my opinion, you know, and I know we can talk about this in depth, you know, later on, but because the council is so close to the public, I think, you know, people see politicians generally as far removed from reality. You know, Westminster could be 1 billion miles away from Caerphilly. It's 150 miles away from Caerphilly, but I think that because the council is there all the time, I think the council gets it in the neck. I speak to council leaders, you know, Plaid Cymru leaders, you know, independents and Labour, and it's pretty much exactly the same thing in Caerphilly. The council seems to be the problem all the time. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter who runs the council. It's the council, and it automatically, when I got my council badge on, people will think, oh shit, that's the council, you know, and it's you know, it's just me at the end of the day.
So you're Labour then, yeah?
Yeah.
There's loads of ill feeling and negativity towards Labour in Caerphilly, yeah? Same question, is that deserved, or why do you think that is, basically?
14 years of the Tories being in, very, very difficult. Austerity rammed down our throats. Labour Council has been in since 2012, and I was elected as a fresh-faced 26-year-old. You know, dealing with austerity. Look, the public have had an absolute gutsful of austerity. They don't want austerity. They want Labour to actually reverse austerity. I think in the last by-election, you know, Lindsay did very well. He ran a positive campaign, and I've spoken to him about this. You know, I've said you run a brilliant campaign, Lindsay. People didn't want reform. They didn't want Labour. They wanted a left alternative. They voted for Plaid. And, you know, for me, it's a case of, well, that's a message from the electorate. They want something different to the status quo over the last 15 years. You know, Labour are never going to turn things round in 14, 15 months, however, or 16, 18 months, however long they've been in government. It's more or less impossible. But Labour need to sharpen up their attitudes, you know. We need an end to austerity. That's got to come from the top. If it doesn't come from the top, then Labour are lost the next election. The public are telling Labour to sort themselves out, invest in local communities, end austerity, give local councils the money they need to run services. If they don't do that, you know, we can have a different change of government, hopefully not reform, which I will go on record and say I'm extremely opposed to.
Yeah, me actually.
So people wanted to express an opinion in that by-election. They went, you know, for Plaid and Lindsay, who's well known, 50 years, and like I said, I've said it to his face. You know, he ran a good campaign, and let's take something from that, is that, you know, people want to change and they want investment in communities.
Jamie, talk to me about, so I hear this budget, the word budget all the time, but how does it work? So I'm clueless, obviously, on this, same as loads of people watching will be. So you've obviously got like a certain amount of funding or whatever. You got to try and help schools, businesses. You got this pot of money here, and you got so many people to try and help, right? Yeah. Like, hand on heart for you, is it basically impossible to help everyone that needs it? Is it?
Yeah. So good question, Josh. I mean, so the boring start of this answer is the council's pressures are about 43 or 44 million. On top of last year. That's a load of things, you know, pay inflation and many other pressures in social care and what have you. We had a 4.3% uplift, if you want to call it that, from Cardiff, you know, from the deal created by Labour and Plaid. That left us still with £19 million to find. So that's the reality. We had £24 million in, £43 million pressures. So do the maths. We're still in a difficult situation. But this budget, we want growth in the budget, and we want to invest in the things that people raise with me on the doorstep. They want cleaner streets, they want tidier areas, they want the environment to be improved. Council tax has got to go up. So I'm not going to sit here and say, we'll freeze the council tax, because ultimately that means cuts to services or less to go around for everybody. I want to be honest with people. It's a difficult situation still. It has eased a little bit, but nowhere near enough as to what we need. So delivering for everyone, for what everybody wants, I don't think there's any council anywhere that's ever going to do that anyway. But we're still in a difficult situation, but the public want an end to austerity, and I'm working as hard as I can to try and get that message across, that we need more funding, but we need to challenge it into the right areas.
Yeah, because I was going to ask this later, but you brought it up now, was that the council tax was going to rise. And if this is true, is this 6.25%?
Yeah, so that's the draft. It goes out on Monday. We're having a cabinet meeting, or tomorrow now, as in Monday, when the consultation will go out. So council tax, if we were to freeze council tax, which I don't think any council in Wales is looking at going anywhere near, that would mean we'd have to find another £7 million from somewhere. So, okay, if the residents don't want an increase in council tax, if you ask them that question, do you want your council tax to go up? They're going to say no. Yeah. But if you ask the question, right, okay, do you want the council tax to go up and these services to be invested in? You might have a different answer. So, I'm going to just be straight and honest with residents. The council tax at 6.25 is overinflation. It's not what people are going to be shouting about in the streets and doing cartwheels over. Big council tax increase. But the question is, do you want us not to invest in services such as cleaning up the communities and having a lower council tax? There's not going to be a single council in Wales that is going to be freezing or going very low on council tax. It's, at the end of the day, if you want services, it's got to be paid for.
So what is, it might be a tough question, because I think every day is probably quite different for you, but like on average, a normal sort of day, week then look like to you, a working day?
God, that is it's not so much a difficult question, but it's because it varies so much.
Yeah.
I'm in the office 4 to 5 times a week, but I'm also around the borough. I've made it a commitment that I try and reach every single part of the borough, speak to residents everywhere. Also my own ward, every week on the doorstep. So it does vary. I can be up late at night, 11, half 11, sending emails. It's probably not the best thing to do at that time, and I could be up at 5:30 in the morning, sending emails, and other times at 2:30 in the morning you can't sleep and you're thinking about things. So I suppose it just varies. I could be. Last week I was speaking to a Welsh Government minister about a real issue that we want to get sorted. I meet with our MPs and our MSs, and I'm always contactable by email and responding to people. But I suppose just the average kind of week is just being out there and meeting with residents across the borough and listening to them. Not so much about what I'm doing or what we want to do, is having that two-way conversation. So it's hectic, it's chaotic, but ultimately being in this job, it's not easy.
So how long have you been in the job?
So I've been leader only for 2 months. I've been a councillor since May 2012. Right. I was 26, and I've seen a lot of change in that time. Unfortunately, a lot of councillors passing away or moving on, and that's very sad. But after 14 years, there's going to be that chopping and changing. Our working environment has changed. COVID changed things. Less people. I get to see councillors less, unfortunately. I like to be meeting with them, meeting more face to face. That doesn't happen as much these days, but there's no substitute for that, in my opinion. Actually, speaking to people face to face and trying to get things done.
Yeah, it's the best way, and I agree with that. All right, so 2012. Since 2012, then working as a councillor, what's your proudest work you've been involved in? Well,
on a local level, I suppose we got Aber Valley School in Churchill Park under construction now. That's going to be a real great thing for us down in our ward, because it's taken a long time. We had to make the case for it, and it's going to be really positive when that school is built. We've got a new leisure centre just walking past now. getting constructed. That's going to be a major investment in the area.
That's literally done.
Yeah, I saw it as I was walking to your place. It's going to be revolutionary, honestly. It really will. Even in like Caerphilly, I'm talking locally to Caerphilly, not so much the borough here, but the redevelopment of Caerphilly town. Some critics are saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't change anything. Things have got to change. We've got to make sure that investment comes in, and I suppose across the county borough, one of the things that the first thing I said as leader is I want to see investment in the north of the borough, in the more deprived areas. They've been waiting too long for investment up there. So I speak with council leaders across the northern valleys, and I'm having a meeting next month and saying, how can we make the case for much better investment in areas that traditionally have had a lot of employment through the steelworks, through the pits and everything like that. Let's get something back. That takes a lot of hard work. That can't come from the council. That's got to come from Welsh Government and UK Government, and we've got to be making the case to them.
Actually, first of all, so does that mean obviously that the leisure centre down there is going to be replaced by this newer one, obviously, isn't it? Because I was going to say, because to be fair, I think we do need a new leisure centre. That's a massive thing. But what? So because I haven't seen so much about it, I've seen the plans and stuff like that. But so this new leisure centre now, what else is it going to be? Is it going to be a new gym, new football?
Vastly improved gym.
Yeah.
Vastly improved other facilities, play facilities. A whole host of things which I can write to you about, which I actually answered on my council page recently. It's going to be the envy, of other councils elsewhere. The issue of the swimming pool, I mean, I answered this straight. I totally get it that swimming clubs would prefer a 1.8 or a 2 metre depth to it, but ultimately when it's 1.1 metres across the board, you can get far more people in there. So more people are going to be using the swimming pool at one time. So if we wanted to spend more money, and if we wanted to restrict the access to the swimming pool and have less people coming in to please, there are groups out there who want a deeper pool, then we do that. But ultimately, I'd be asked the question, well, why have you done that? You're limiting the use of the pool. So it's not going to please everyone. Yeah. I get it. I've had emails. I've had the local Senedd member on to me about it, Lindsay. I respect his opinion, but I want to see more people use the pool. And doing this way, more people will use it. So
for you, it's more of a... So 1 metre is more of a... Not so much people who are going to be sort of maybe taking it more seriously, competing. It's more of a, just a general...
Yeah, there's some things that can't...
You can swim. You can swim. You can swim.
You can. Yes, you can. I mean, I've seen the videos and I've seen the information, and you can do most within 1.1 metres. You obviously can't dive in it, and there are going to be people who can't do that, but there are pools elsewhere.
Yeah.
But let's not mistake that this is a massive investment. It's not just the pool. I suppose when you think of a leisure centre, you do think of a swimming pool. I mean, that's one of the things. But you don't think of the range of facilities. That's going to be there. It's a well-being centre. This is going to be. And I face some flack from other parts of the borough about why are you investing all this money in Caerphilly, and then I get flack from others saying why is it only 1.1 metres? Yeah. Again, look, you can't win, but this is going to be a real game changer for the residents here, and we've got more swimming, we've got more leisure centres than any other council in Wales. Yeah. And I know when you live in an area, you don't think of what's RCT got, what's Blaenau Gwent got, what Newport got, Cardiff got, because you live in this area and you're only concerned about this. But we have got a very strong leisure, appeal. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. How long is it going to be? 3 years?
Well, no, 2027. So literally next year. Oh. I'm cautious to say this because whenever there's a delay, there's calls for my resignation. if
going back to this video,
if it's 3.5 seconds delayed, people will call him for my head. But but no, we're on schedule as things stand. For the new leisure centre, and I'm constantly asking officers for updates and hoping that they don't say things. We've hit a snag, or we're delayed, but so far so good.
Okay, so we've got the leisure centre there. I've seen a point there. I don't know. What's the exact location for people that?
Well, I suppose Van Road in there, Van Business, the business park.
Yeah, it's local anyway. Yeah,
very close to the train station.
Caerphilly as well itself then, I told you before we started recording, I grew up in Aber Valley, being biased, best place on earth. But I do love Caerphilly as well. I do love living here. A lot of people say certain parts of Caerphilly needs a makeover. I like living in Caerphilly. But for the Caerphilly town centre itself then, is there any plans at all for a more sort of like what they said, a makeover? Or?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Loads of plans. I mean, the middle of town now, sort of, the Iceland block, that's there's going to be a pre-application now for a whole new makeover, as you put it, revolutionising the middle of town. Obviously, we've had the market, we've got Pentra Street, we've got the leisure centre. There's a hell of a lot of investment in Caerphilly, and people say to me, well, why is the council spending all this money in Caerphilly? The reality is, most of the money's come from Welsh government, UK government, right. And we are willingly accepting that. Because it's not the council spending all that money. Look, I've been a councillor since 2012. When I was campaigning for my first election, people were saying to me on the doorstep, sort the town out. Those are the words, sort the town out. Now I'm sorting the town out, and previous administrations didn't sort the town out, and a lot of people can criticise and say, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, or that's 3/4 of an inch to the left too much, and campaigning against things on the minuscule of details. But look, at the end of the day, I'm in politics to make a difference, and I'll take a few hits along the way. That's no problem. But I've been deputy leader since 2021, been leader for 2 months. Things are happening, and things will continue to happen, and I'm not going to stop them from happening. So things are going to improve in Caerphilly town.
I will read out something because this is the Senate member again. I'm saying this because I've interviewed him before already, and now I'm interviewing you. And so his words were pretty damning, if I'm honest with you, Jamie. Caerphilly Senedd member Lindsay Whittle said the council would be wise to forget the fancy major projects they have proved with the new Caerphilly Leisure Centre, a solar farm, and Ffos Caerphilly that they cannot deliver big schemes successfully. Ffos Caerphilly is proving to be a disaster. The solar farm is for sale, and the new pool is not suitable for experienced swimmers. Now, we've spoke about the new pool, so we won't go back into that. Out of everything he said there, I want to ask you, do you agree then that he said this on an interview with me, Lindsay Whittle, he said that Ffos Caerphilly, in his words, was a monumental disaster. What's your take?
Well, Lindsay, thank you for your optimism. No, I don't agree with you, Lindsay. I respectfully disagree with you on that. Look, I think, this is one of the things I don't like about politics. I praised Lindsay, earlier on. I'm not going to, say anything untoward here. I was the deputy leader who brought it in. Lindsay was leader of the council for 8 years. He didn't bring the market in. Okay. Talking about the leisure centre, I was deputy leader for 3 or 4 years. I've brought the leisure centre in. He didn't bring it in when he had the chance for 8 years. Look, let's be honest. There's a Senate election campaign coming up, and Lindsay's been over the top, in my opinion, on this. Well over the top. I do think, let's take ourselves back. The high street is everywhere is struggling. People are shopping online. Consumer habits are changing. Less people are out in the town. I remember walking down high streets, when I was a 10-year-old, 30 years ago, and it was just different. So we made the decision to invest in the high street, trying to reinvigorate the high street, and for the traders in the market, I think it's a disservice, to be honest with you, to be talking them down like this, with the greatest of respect to Lindsay. I think that we should be talking Caerphilly up. We shouldn't be looking to bash it down. So I'll take those comments with a tray of salt, not with a pinch of salt, and I will respectfully disagree. Time of year, that tray of salt. Yeah, respectfully disagree with Lindsay in the nicest possible. All right. Well, thanks for actually answering that. Anyway, honestly. So, okay, that is pretty much the end of everything that I want to ask. But obviously, then I've got community questions that people on my page wanted me to ask you. Okay. So I'll start. All right, I'll start strongly because there's a running theme here from people from Aber Valley, where I'm from. And I said earlier that there's a lot of apathy around the council. And I'm not just saying this for clickbait, Jamie, but no. From Aber Valley, the word is an apathy. To be honest, a lot of people, I think, is close to hatred. The running theme is that Aber Valley, basically, is forgotten about. That's what they're saying. So before I go further, I'll read out what his question is.
So it is, why is Labour-led Caerphilly County Borough removing libraries and learning resources from some of the most deprived areas in Wales, thereby contradicting core aspects of Labour's Wellbeing of Future Generations Act, equal opportunities for all, and potentially reinforcing place-based inequalities by regenerating other areas such as Caerphilly, Barguide and Blackwood. Based on the above, can you also ask him if he plans to honour the Wellbeing for Future Generations Act commitment to equal opportunities for all, and if so, what are his plans for regeneration in the Aber Valley and helping increase the life chances of residents? Sorry, that's a long question. You can tell you wrote a book, can't you?
Yeah, Richard, first of all, fair play for your book launch. As you know, I attended it, and it was really good. So fair play on that one. And look, and I know that you're passionate about the Aber Valley, and that's awesome because as a resident of the Aber Valley, why wouldn't you be? Yeah, I mean, his points are about, let's just take the libraries issue. So up in Rumney, we've got the Rumney Hub. Now, there's an argument from some who say if you remove a library or transfer it to somewhere else or to something else of benefit, you're doing bad things to the community. But up in Rumney, the most deprived area in the county borough, once we reopened and reinstigated the Rumney Hub, we've had an almost 100% increase in people coming through the doors because we made sure that the council was available to come in. They're offering more services. So it is one of those things where if you restrict the number, we've still got loads, with 17 or 18 libraries in the whole of the borough. It's far more than most other areas. But make them better in other locations, actually the footfall generally will increase beyond the current footprint. So I get it. No transfer of a library to something else when it's unknown is going to be popular. I totally get it. They've done it in Cardiff, they've done it in other areas. I was speaking to the leader of RCT, I don't know, it was a couple of months ago now, and he's been the leader for over 10 years, and he said the first thing he did was transfer ownership of about, I think it was 11 libraries in RCT. Difficult decisions going to be made, but they saw that as the way forward. So yeah, I'm always keen, and I'll make this point to Richard and councillors in the Aber Valley, the community council and what have you, to get around the table and talk about regeneration in villages and towns across the borough. I'm more than happy to do that. Because that, I want to take, and I know we've said it before, but I want to take opposition councillors with me as best as possible. We shouldn't be at each other's throats, left, right and centre. There are some people who stand for election that we're never going to agree with, but there is common ground with a lot of others, so I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, so just sticking with Aber Valley then, the manager of the football club of Aber Valley, right? And I just basically said, look, is there anything you want to ask or say to the leader of Caerphilly Council? And he said, bloody hell, where do I start? He said, so this is regarding the football pitch.
Right.
From what I've seen, they've been trying to get a fence around the pitch for a long time. And basically, in their mind, they're just getting nowhere with it. And he said that we have bikes, horses and dog walkers on the pitch. The state of the pitch is disgusting. All they do is cut it and line it. It needs to be spike seeded and fertilised through the year, but they don't care about that. He says we get nothing. There's rubbish bags that have been left outside the changing rooms for months. They can't even pick them up. So,
well, what I'd say to the football manager is contact me, and I'll look into it. I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
If he's contacted the council and we haven't done what we need to do, then I'll take it to officers. Simple as that. My door is open. So yeah, I can't be everywhere. I can't know of every single issue. But if that genuinely is the problem, then contact me.
Yeah, because to be fair, I don't play for the team anymore, but I follow them and stuff like that. And again, I'm not being biased. It is the biggest football team in the whole of the area. There's not a great deal to do in Aber now, and they've got from ages under 5 right up to over 40s. They've got football teams for everyone. So it is a massive club. So that's a good point of this interview is then basically that we've got your word on it. That
absolutely, yeah.
If you take one thing away from this interview, basically that you'll take a look at Aber Valley football team,
Yeah, I just want to say about the Aber Valley generally. When I was in university, I did some voluntary work up in the Aber Valley YMCA.
Yeah.
And the sense of community, that was going back to 2009 or 10, I think it was.
That's it.
But the sense of community up there is excellent.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually probably the youngest Santa to go around on a big sleigh going around the Aber Valley many years ago.
Yeah, they still do that now.
And you know, so the sense of community up there is awesome. And you know, I just want to say, you know, to Pritchard, you know, and to any of the councillors up there, you know, if you want to meet to discuss any matters, I'm more than happy to, because it's a good community. And yeah, I'll take whatever's said on board. Definitely.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jamie. So, okay, the next one. So, sorry if I'm butchering the name. Can we reopen Caerphilly Manor?
Caerphilly.
Right.
Yeah.
As it's part of our heritage.
Yeah. So, and again, another difficult situation or decision was to withdraw the subsidy for Caerphilly, about £500,000 a year, but to open the doors to private investment. We've been delayed on it. I'm not going to say everything's gone swimmingly, everything's gone perfectly. We're currently discussing with a new operator a way forward there. There's interest from the private sector. You know, I had an absolute load of emails about Coffee Vista going back 18 months ago, 2 years. When people found out that we were looking to run something different there, they weren't happy. But now it's a thriving private enterprise, you know, and getting lots of people through the door. But with Caerphilly, the door is open for that private investment, and you know we're speaking to an operator now, but there's no news as yet. But whenever the news comes, I'll happily spread it.
Okay, next one. This is a bit of a long-winded one as well.
All right.
2 questions regarding the Bedwas Spoil Tip project.
That's from Janine.
Oh, right. I underestimate how much you know all these. So
I don't know. It's as soon as it gets read out.
Oh, okay. So
feel free to answer.
Yeah, I'll read it out anyway for the viewers as well. ERI Limited, private mining company, have stated that 0.5 million of coal will be sold to a cement factory to colour bricks, yet Caerphilly County Borough have admitted they have no control of who the private mining company sells that council's coal to or its end use. Please could you advise, 1, if this project is at odds with Caerphilly County Borough decarbonisation strategy and the 2019 Council Declaration of Climate Emergency, and 2, how supporting the ERI Limited proposal demonstrates Caerphilly County Borough's contribution to the global effort on climate change.
Thanks, Janine. I'll be meeting with you soon as well. Thanks for your email recently. We'll get together. We'll discuss things, you know, in the office. As I said, I'm more than happy to speak to all councillors. No, it doesn't conflict with the decarbonisation strategy. I was cabinet member for climate change from May 2022 till 2 months ago, and we've seen a reduction in our carbon emissions. Some people think that climate change doesn't exist. You know, reform, for instance, it does. We can only might as well look out the window every couple of days and see the climate change pretty much is with us and getting worse. So no, it doesn't conflict with that, and we'll continue to, reduce our emissions going to 2030. A planning application hasn't come in, Janine, with ERI. If it does, it'll get thoroughly examined. I know you represent the NSD ward. Part of the Bedwas issue is that those tips have been there for a long time and they're a category 5. So if we said absolutely nothing about it and just waited for, let's hope it doesn't happen, but some kind of accident there, I don't think the residents of Bedwas would be too happy about that. These issues, I mean, they're dealt with in the right and proper manner, but obviously I look forward to meeting with you in the office sometime soon.
Okay, another one from Janine then.
Another one, is it?
Yeah, Caerphilly County Borough have spent the past, I think she needs 2.5 years investigating the toxic T-Cloud quarry, to see if it's contaminated in the eyes of the law. A draft report was completed well over a year ago and a decision made. Please could you tell me when the report will be released, as it should have been issued October 2024.
So I don't know when it's going to be released, Janine. Obviously, I'll take that question if you can forward me that, Josh. Back to the offices, and that's something obviously we're going to be discussing when we make the appointment to have a chat in the office. But as I said, I'm more than happy to discuss these issues, and I know it's something that you care passionately about.
And that's all of them, because the rest are pretty much similar to the others about libraries and swimming pool and things like that, which we've covered. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, the last thing from me I would say is I started this interview about, I said about there's apathy towards the council, and look, I've been it myself. I thought, well, also politics, I've had the stance of almost being political to politics, if that makes sense, of having, well, what's the point? Nothing ever changes anyway. That might be true further afield, but I do think now, after speaking with Jamie and Lindsay as well, for people who say, oh, well, no one ever listens, or the answers are not out there, well, to be fair, Jamie's coming to my home today and let me ask him whatever I wanted, to be fair. So these people are accessible, believe it or not, and you don't have to come through me either, because, so Jamie, you've got your own email and stuff if you want to tell them how they can get in touch
so
with you.
If anybody wants to get in touch with me, my email address is jamespritchard@caerphilly.gov.uk. I've got a Facebook page, Councillor Jamie Pritchard. Drop me a line on my email is best. Facebook can be difficult at times if it's messages coming through left, right and centre. But look, if you want to ask me a question, I run a regular councillors monthly question answer session. The details are on the council Facebook page. So yeah, please do, and I'll try and answer as many questions as I can. Ultimately, I might not be able to answer everything that everybody wants to hear, but I'm there to be accessible if anybody wants to get in touch.
And so people are saying all the time, Fluck, why are you knocking about with all these politicians? Just so you know, it's not just politics on you. There are so many interesting people and places to go and visit. So yeah, subscribe as well to never miss a video and to help the channel grow. Lastly, Jamie, thank you very much.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, for trusting me as well.
Always.
Nice one.